All right, you bunch of yahoos, strap yourselves in for another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity.
In other words, shut up, sit up, and pay attention.
And welcome back to another episode of Toxic Masculinity, where we are here to entertain, offend, defend, and anyone and everyone. It's merely our simple-minded opinions, but rest assured, you're going to be infused with a lot of masculinity. So if you can't handle it, maybe you better get out of the kitchen or go put your man pants on and tune on in. Normally, I would be introducing my other dashingly handsome mustache man, Don the Predator Fry, but Don is a little under the weather at this time. So I ask our listeners to keep Don in their thoughts and prayers, and hopefully we'll have Don back in no time at all, cussing and just being the Oreo codger that he is. But as the old cliche, the show must go on. And we have a special guest this evening, a man that has held many different credentials, real name being Charles Wright, but he's kind of been known as, Papa Shango, the Kama Mustafa, and the Godfather being probably, I don't know, Charles, would you say, which one of those roles was one of your funnest roles that you ever portrayed?
Well, first off, thanks for having me on the show, guys. I've been looking forward to talking with you guys. And so thanks for having me. But come on, man, by far, The Godfather is my favorite. And it's my favorite because it is me. I'm not pretending to be an ultimate fighter. I'm not pretending to be a voodoo man. I'm not pretending to be, a militant. I'm being myself. And what you see with The Godfather was just me being me.
No, again, every time I see you getting ready to go out there for that, I'm thinking you were just smiles from ear to ear. You're like a kid in the candy store. I mean, they hooked you up with beautiful women to put on your arms and the outfits that you wore out there. I mean, you were styling the profile and having the time of your life. I could see that every time.
But the crazy thing about it, bro, is that was all my wife's idea. All of it was my wife. The gold, the outfits, the hats, the colors. All I did was the silly part, the entertaining part. The rest was my wife.
Wow. Well, it's good to have an in-house advisor like that, consulting with all your wardrobe, mannerisms. Wow.
I was very, and the cool thing about it is we're still together today.
No, again, we'll talk about different pros and cons, even about the industry. Being a married man involved in the professional industry is a tough aspect on a family life.
This is my third wife.
Okay.
I went through two wives during wrestling. We've been married this time. I've been married 23 years. So
wow,
I think we're going to.
That's a long time.
Excuse me, 20. It'll be 23 years this September. So, yeah, I think we're going to last.
Yeah, no, you've got some time invested there. I say, if the way they guys have split at that point, that's called shootout at the OK Corral. Last person standing wins all.
Like, I don't know if I'm going to live to 125, but I'm going to be around for a little bit.
Nice. I said before, a man just got to have a dream. A man's got to have a dream. My question to you, first off, is let's go back in the younger years of Charles. What, like being in high school, what types of sports were you involved in? Were you involved in sports?
Believe it or not, I was a basketball player. I did not play football in high school because my mom would not sign. Back then, you had to have waivers. They had to sign permission slips for you to play. I don't know if it's like that today. And my dad would sign it, but my mom refused to sign it. She says, "You're going to get hurt." She said, "Play basketball." So even though I didn't want to play basketball, I played basketball. Now hear this. In 1979, I played ball in Northern California. In 1979, I was Northern California Basketball Player of the Year in 1979, my senior year. I was recruited. I went to college for 1 year. All right. And I got a basketball scholarship, and I'm playing ball. but I wanted to be a football player. So I started lifting weights. And when I graduated high school in 79, I'm 6'5", 185. Year and a half later, I'm 6'5", 245, 250, because I started hanging out with the football players, doing football drills, lifting weights, and my body just really, it soaked it in. And then so I played basketball, and then the football coach from St. Mary's went to UNR, and there was a coach by the name of Chris Alt there. And they said, hey, we got this basketball player who's now benching over 400 pounds. He can still dunk a basketball, and he's running a 4.8 40, but he's never played football. So they flew me to Nevada, Reno, right? UNR. They put a basketball in my hand. Now I'm 275, 280. And now I'm pushing some weight, and I'm dunking the basketball this way, and I'm dunking it because I was a basketball player. They gave me a full ride scholarship when I had never, ever played tackle football besides playing with my friends in the park. I had never played with a helmet. I've never had gear on. And they made me an offensive tackle. And within a year, I was starting.
Wow.
Well, a year and a half. My junior year, I was starting. And never played football in my life.
That's that's an incredible story right there, Charles, because I mean, it's wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's absolutely crazy. I mean, I love football. I love football so much. I played all through high school, and I mean, I loved it so much. But I knew that if I wanted to really excel, I had to take something else, because in football, you have to rely upon 10 other players to do their job along with yours. You could be this mass destructive type person, but somebody over here misses the block, misses the tackle, and you lose, the whole team loses. So I end up choosing the sport of wrestling just because the definition of wrestling is a team sport based upon individual performances. The team can lose, but I can still go on. And that's why I chose the sport of wrestling. But Frank, at the time,
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Frank Cush was the head coach at that time. And Frank Cush used to come and watch like the home wrestling matches, and then he would corner me back, back by the locker room or something like that. And he's like, Severn, you're an animal. He goes, I see linebacker written all over you. I'm like, coach, you got me pegged. I go, I'd tear my heart out and I'd give it to you. But do you have 10 other players that'll do that exact same thing? Then when he paused, I'm like going, that spoke volumes to me. I go, never pause, never pause.
Well, you made the right decision. You made a good decision.
Yeah,
what
I think
position?
so, but you can't do do-over. So it's kind of like going, you got to live with your decisions.
What position did you play? So in basketball, you said in 79 you were the best player.
I was a forward, and I was a small forward. I'm only 6'5".
Yeah, but
I was also a high jumper, and I high jumped. I only high jumped till my junior year, and I think at that time that the record was 6'9" in high school back then in the late 70s, and I got up to 6'6", 6'7", and then I concentrated more on basketball.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I was a leaper, dude. So
did you guys win any championships while you were playing?
Excuse me?
Did you guys win any championships while you were playing?
We were Northern. Yes, we won the SCBEL. We won the CCS. We won the Shaughnessy playoffs. And if you're from Northern California, I don't know. This is a long time ago. I don't even know if they have these still. But yeah, man, we were really good. I wish that I would have played football in high school, because I would have been a pro. I'm telling you, I wouldn't have been an offensive tackle. I would have been a defensive end or something, because, offense and the right tackle was an easier shot to learn than the left tackle. But if I had it to do over again, I would have been a defensive end. I would have been a defensive end or a tight end.
There you go. I wasn't if you like offense. Well, basketball, a lot of basketball players are the best tight ends when they transition. But I can see you causing havoc in the middle, though. You look
man, I had to, believe me, that's what I wanted to play football. But my mom says you're going to get hurt, and that's what happened my junior year. I got my knee blown out, and it was my medial collateral, my anterior cruciate. And back then, man, they didn't have the technology that they have now. I mean, back then they just ripped you open and fix you up. So after that happened, things kind of changed for me. I started hanging around strippers and working in strip clubs. I got a tattoo. They started calling me Bear. I started drinking Jack Daniels. Things kind of changed at that point. I hate to say this, but my senior year, I got thrown out of school because you took this basketball player that was crazy anyway, and I played basketball. I believe it. In my senior year, I averaged 20 points and 20 rebounds a game, and that was only because I was tenacious, and the other players didn't play like football players. I played tenacious. I wanted to block your shot. I wanted every rebound because I could jump so high. I had a lot of dunks, but I like defense, man. I used to love D'ing people up, and I'd D up sitters and stuff. But yeah, man. But you see what happened? I got hurt. My mom was right. And then my life took a total, and then I started fighting. I started getting in a lot of fights and this stupid knucklehead stuff and bodyguard and strippers. And I ended up in Vegas working at strip clubs. Only thing good came from it is I became one of the owners of Cheetahs here in Las Vegas, which we sold 4 years ago. But yeah, things kind of took a turn for me when I got into that.
And little did you know you were already working on The Godfather.
Yeah, I still can't believe that you said by your junior year you actually were being like a bouncer or something like that at bars. And your junior year.
I was working in bars when I was 20 years old. I was bouncing, and then I was working. I can't remember the name of the strip club, but then the girls would work on the side on the weekends and stuff, and they'd pay me to drive them and make sure they were all right and drive them back. And I was like,
so you say that 20 because I was doing the math and thinking if you're back then and you said you're doing this by your junior year, I'm thinking you're not even of drinking age here now. Usually you got to be even to go into a strip club, you got to be of drinking age or stuff like that.
I think I was 20 years old when I started going into strip clubs.
Wow, because I've just looked at you, your sheer size, and go,
oh, bro,
on your way, sir, on your way.
Now, by then I was into powerlifting, and I got up to an 18.5, almost got to 1900 total, but my best was my bench, man. I was like a 570 bencher. Yeah, I always big chest. I was a big bencher. And then I started just doing bench press contests, and I would do the steroid free one because I didn't do steroids, and I couldn't compete. If I competed against the guys that did steroids, because I was super heavy at that time, it was 275 and super heavies. I was like 305, and to go against the guys that were on the shit, I couldn't. They were doing 600, 650, but I would win if I went to drug-free meets. I'd win because they were only doing 500, and I was doing like 580 or whatever.
What about like putting on any of the sleeves and stuff like that? Did you ever?
We didn't do that back then. Back then, what did we do? When we squatted, we had discus and shot putters had these special shoes they used. And we used to squat with those. When we pulled in like ballerina shoes. They were just like slippers. We pulled with our bare feet. And when we benched, we had a powerlifting belt. But we didn't, back then, there was no suits and all that shit. There was power bars, 100-pound plates, and you'd wrap your wrist. You'd wrap your wrist with the knee wrap stuff that you wrap your knees with.
Yeah, like the
but there was no, you did it. And then you had like a wrestling type suit, but it wasn't a powerlifting suit. It was just like a wrestling suit, a singlet.
When I watch like powerlifting competitions, it looks like there's three guys trying to stuff one oversized guy inside of these power suits. I'm thinking, geez, oh, Pete, the guy can't breathe. He's walking like this. His arms are out here like that. I mean, it's like going, it's easy, I would think, to add an extra 10, 20 pounds or a lot more, because
you could probably add 100. I think you could add 100 pounds that way. I couldn't imagine doing something, and I'm not here knocking the modern day. I mean, the numbers are bigger. I want to say that I don't remember. I think Shane McMahon, I think we got 595, but we didn't weigh it out. I think we got 595 one time, with Shane actually spotted me at 595 here in Vegas. But it wasn't weighed out, so it could have been 600, it could have been 575, but because we didn't weigh it out. But I mean, that's steroid free, man. That was a big
No, that to me, that's super impressive right there. When you say that's on just raw ability, that was being an amateur wrestler. It was, to me, it was all about the pulling strength. See, football is all that power explode that out. But for wrestling, it's like lat pull down, seated poses. These are singles, these are doubles, these are cradles. Or anything to think about lat pull downs, seated pulls, upright rowing, and then working quads and things of that nature. So, because when I went to Arizona State, I took a weightlifting class so I could learn how to design very sports specific weightlifting programs for the sport of wrestling. It was a football coach that was running it, and the whole program. I thought, okay, this is all good for a football player. I just need to tweak it just a little bit, but it helped awakening the brain in me towards like, okay, all football related. Change some of the more dynamics that's going to work there for sport of wrestling. Let's go, baby! And
there you go.
But Till, I can't believe that framework that you were doing, especially when you're up there with that weight and you're still up there stuffing that basketball. Them coaches had to be blown away and just salivate. We need him.
That's why I got the full rights colors. They're like, I was a good athlete. I mean, I was a really good athlete.
Wow. So you weren't really into wrestling as you were growing up. You said you were more into roller derby?
Oh, you did a little research, did we?
I don't know this one at all.
Growing up in Northern California, the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose, Sunnyvale, back then in the 70s, roller derby was bigger than wrestling in Northern California. And at the Cow Palace, wrestling would draw half a house. Roller derby would be sold out. And so when I was young, we'd go see. Now I knew Rocky Johnson, Ray the Crippler Stevens, Kenji Shibua, Haystack Calhouns. I knew the names, but we followed wrestling because we're all 18 years old, 17. You'd go get a beer at the Cow Palace, drink beer, yell. It was like wrestling. And so I never followed wrestling, ever. Wrestling kind of came and grabbed me. I didn't grab wrestling. It kind of grabbed me.
But the roller derby that you're talking about right now, was that basically professional wrestling?
Same thing.
Okay, so
same terminology,
you got the same type of, they're whipping people around.
Spots, baby faces, heels, spots, everything, go over, time, shine, all that stuff is the same as wrestling, exactly the same.
Wow.
Wrestlers used to say, well, why are you wrestling? They used to say, because I can't roller skate. Wrestling in the early 70s, man. Roller derby was big in the Bay Area.
Yeah, it was a big thing. I remember watching it because I grew up in Arizona, but I saw it on TV, and they never really had something like that where we can go to the rink and watch it. But I remember I love watching it on TV.
We'd drink and have some beers and yell and
so that was your weekend. You like going to the roller rink and we were gonna watch some. The girls were crazy too. I remember watching the girls go at it.
Oh, the girls were. It was great. It was great. It was a fun time.
Thank you for watching another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. You better like, subscribe, and share, or I'm going to come to your house.